Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about Saturn in the 7th house in the natal chart. Now, first off, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the Saturn placements in the houses. They were a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up, well, Saturn in the 7th house is comparable to Saturn in Libra, but naturally you've got to blend in the zodiac sign. Saturn in Libra in the 7th house can be different than Saturn in Aries in the 7th house, as an example. Now, another thing, Saturn astrology is connected with the career, and when you have Saturn in the 7th house, you may desire a career where things are very balanced, refined, or it's peaceful and tranquil, where you have a lot of harmony. You have a career may be a place where you meet the significant other, marriage partner. It may be a career in which where you're connected with this person, where the two of you marry, you and your marriage partner, significant other, may work together. It could be a career that's Libra related, because the 7th house does correspond with Libra. It could be a career in human resources, art, fashion, such as fashion design, and art. Going back to art, that could cover a wide divergence of things, whether it could be drawing, painting, sculpting, doing something with the law, legal field, which can include being an attorney, a bailiff, paralegal, judge, as some examples, and something just with beauty, cosmetics. Another thing about Saturn, it's connected with laborious work and industry. So if you have Saturn posited in the 7th house in a natal chart, hard labor may be done in a partnership situation. You may often collaborate with others on projects and endeavors that require a lot of effort. It may be hard work just to maintain a marriage situation. It could also be retaining important friends in your life. If the 7th house is the house of relationships, and that includes your significant friends and significant other. And also legal matters may require more of an effort than most people. It could be doing something in the legal profession, or with art, again, which can cover a wide divergence of things, whether it could be drawing, painting, or sculpting, as some examples. Say scale production, but that being a little bit flippant there. But scales are connected with the 7th house in Libra, so even working as a chiropractor, because Libra 7th house corresponds with the lower back. Now, another thing too, Saturn astrology is also associated with the father, older people, and authority figures. So if you have Saturn posited in the 7th house in the natal chart, those people may play more of an integral role in your relationships, whether it's the marriage partner or your important friendships. Partnership situations, you may be in a business partnership with one of these people. Legal matters, it could be lawsuits, doing something with arbitration, negotiation, and even open adversaries, whether the father, older people, authority figures may help you deal with those people, or one or more may actually become an open enemy at some time. Now, I know that could be true regardless of astrological placements, but there could be a greater propensity of that with this placement as opposed to many others in astrology. Also, too, the father may be somebody that you see as tactful, diplomatic, refined, a person that may express certain intellectual sociability, maybe a little ambivalent. These are people the father, older people, and authority figures may be ones in which you enjoy bouncing ideas off of. Saturn in astrology is also connected with restrictions and limitations. So if you have Saturn in the seventh house in the natal chart, those restrictions and limitations may include your relationships in general. Um, it could be others, whether it's doing things with others, matters with contracts. If you're in some kind of business where you're dealing with contracts, and or you're involved in them and you're signing on to something, it may seem like there's you often may have like a lot of stipulations involved in them where you may feel more limited than the average person in those matters. um, Matters connected with agreements, compromise, negotiation, arbitration, those things, there may be some more limitations and restrictions in matters with those things than most people, as well, and just your relationships in general. But at the same time, you may often attract older people in terms of whether it's a marriage partner, or significant other, or your important friends in general. You may be very disciplined and structured in your relationships. Saturn astrology is also associated with our fears, our inhibitions, things we worry about, adds apprehension. And, the thing is, you may fear open enemies, open adversaries more so than most people. It could, whether it's one that actually exists, or whether it's about, making an open enemy out of somebody. It could be too where there might be some fear in connection with marriage. In some cases, you may be rather negative and pessimistic regarding those matters, and just wanting to agree with making some kind of agreement or compromise in some cases. And it could also be, as far as legal issues go, those things may cause more fear and apprehension with you more so than most people. Matters in with partnership situations, like a business partnership, as well. Now, another thing about Saturn astrology is connected with sorrow, despondency, sadness. So, if you have Saturn posited in the seventh house in the natal chart, there may be more sorrow, in matters, with the significant other, the marriage partner, more so than most others. Matters where you're doing things with others, matters connected with lawsuits, legalities, could be open enemies, and also just relationships in general. If a divorce does occur in this person's life, it may cause more sadness, more despondency, more so than most people on average, and even things that are associated with contracts as well. Agreements, negotiation. There may be more sorrow in matters with those things than most people. Now, another thing about Saturn in astrology, it's also connected with responsibilities. So, if you have Saturn in the seventh house in the natal chart, there may be more responsibilities in matters pertaining to lawsuits, legalities, even a grandparent in some cases, the significant other, marriage partner, the relationships, which can include significant other and also important friends in one's life, having to deal with open enemies, contract situations. You may feel there's more responsibility for you in your marriage if you are married, with the significant other more so than most other people. Sometimes this placement may manifest in taking care of a debilitated or sickly spouse, or even a grandparent in some instances. Now, Saturn in astrology is also connected with chronic issues. So if you have Saturn in the seventh house in your chart, there may be, keep in mind the seventh house corresponds with the zodiac sign Libra. So there may be chronic issues associated with the kidneys, the lower back, the buttocks, the endocrine system. It could be where chronic issues may affect matters with competition. If you're involved in some sports competition, something, especially if it's more of a physical nature, it may impede, or some kind may give some kind of restriction in those matters. The chronic issues, it may be something that is connected with a lawsuit, Say if you feel, chronic issue occurred, due to somebody else's fault, as an example, an accident at work, um, and you wind up suing somebody, it could manifest in that manner. Chronic issues may have more of an impact on your relationships in general, more so than most people on average. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.